Hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me, for having me. Today, I will be representing and speaking about sound design and spatial experience. My name is Max Kullmann, and I'm the founder of Stille als Luxus, Büro für Sounddesign und Raumerleben. Today's topic for me will be the question, will 3 years help? We are on the IFA and there is a lot of technical, groundbreaking stuff going on, a lot of speakers, a lot of immersive technology. And I myself, as a sound designer and a spatial designer, ask myself the question, will 3 years help if 2 don't? And this is also about taking the immersion personally, from a designer's standpoint. What do I, as sound designer, have to think, and how can I immerse myself into the theme without being too much caught up in technology? Because if you're caught up in technology, you're always thinking technically, and this will, I think, hinder the message or the story you want to tell. First, I'm going to play you some sounds, and you can ask yourself, what is this for, right? I mean, only the question, at least, will bring you close and will guide you into my little talk here. Okay, here we go. Okay, these were the key sounds for an exhibition here in Berlin. But before I'm going to reveal what this was all about, I just want to have a brief introduction on Stille als Luxus. What we do is acoustic scenography and auditive design, spatial audio design, audio consulting, also media technology for museums, exhibitions, and fairs. We have been awarded with the Better Sound Award 2 years ago, and this year with the Red Dot Design Award. And we were working for companies like Barco or Volkswagen, Daimler, but also for museums like the Humboldt Forum and the Heinrich von Kleist Museum, and several other cultural institutions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 projects we did for museums in Germany. And as you might know, museums always have financial restrictions on projects, but on the other hand, very engaged and very strong wishes or demands about their exhibitions and about narrative storytelling. And so for us sound designers, it always puts us into we immerse the problem of low financial budget, of technical easiness or technical sturdiness, because if you have a lot of technology in the museums, sometimes it doesn't work. So you want to try to make it very simple. And by thinking this kind of design, you have to be really easy and really, you have to ask yourself, what is the story about? What do we want to say? Even if it's just one mic and one speaker we have in this venue or in this place. So there were a lot of projects before those we did for the museums. For example, an art piece which led us to the project I'm going to show you. It's called Inside a Piano, and it's about how it is to be inside a piano. There's 8 microphones in the piano and 8 loudspeakers in a long corridor, and when you walk through the corridor, you have the impression of being inside the piano, because you're listening to 8 mics. And I'm just going to play this to you. This was in Berlin in 2016, and you were walking through the corridor and passing the single strings of the piano, going further on the high strings, and walking back through the resonating space of the piano, but translated into a big space, of course. This is how it sounded like. Okay. Another project, kind of also working with spatial sound and improvising with the things the space brought and the circumstances, the technique the technique brought was is called Space Drum. It's a drum set being set up in a big space of a parking lot and being picked up by 32 microphones, and you are jumping from one microphone to the other, and while doing that, you actually hear the different acoustic spaces of the microphones placed around the drum set. Drum solo. In the distance. Okay, you're going backwards. You're going back a little. Very close. And then you hear the big space, the big parking lot in the back. And there is no digital effects, it's just different mics. And this phenomena we really like to work with because it's very simple. You just set up an instrument or a performer, and you just work with different microphone distances and different spatial conditions. Which leads me to the first project I want to talk about, the Leopold Mozart House in Augsburg. Leopold Mozart was the father of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And this Mozart House was supposed to have room, a space where you could listen to Leopold Mozart's and his contemporaries' music barrier-free with sound, which is kind of challenging, especially for a rather small museum with a restricted budget. So what we did was, what is immersing, and how can we make the sound immersive if we just have stereo tracks from classical music of Mozart's, Leopold Mozart's contemporaries, which are very old. So how can we reproduce and make the sounds bigger and also be accessible for people with damaged ears or being handicapped in other ways? So there were 16 speakers in this room, and this room was optimized for listening to music. But how to get simple and single tracks to remix and to make the stereo or sometimes mono audio signal more immersive. And with the experiences of the project I was just showing you, the piano and also the drums, we figured that re-recording the music, very simple, putting up a speaker and putting up another speaker and different microphone and matching, we found that we could isolate some frequencies of the violins, for example, or of the horns, and each and every combination of speaker and microphone gave another sound. And we thought we would be able to remix those new acquired sounds to a new immersive and surround sound within this space. So this is the first step, re-recording with a loudspeaker and a microphone. And you can hear the same song with different mix of speakers and re-recording microphones. Right, just hear the difference. Sometimes it's very numb, sometimes very shiny, very peaky. And we use these differences in sound to remix the sound in the Sinnesraum, in the place of senses in the Leopold Mozart Museum. What we also did was going into the Plenter Wald in Berlin and re-recording the music, mono, but with an ambisonic microphone, and also with the background noises of the very Plenter Wald, which sounds like this. And up come the soundscape of Plenter Wald. And this was very useful for having natural soundscapes in between these songs, because we were also playing these into the listening space to give some new associations and some new context to the songs we played there, because it was old music and you usually listen to this music in concert halls or in your living room, and having birds or cars in the background is challenging and reminds the people who listen to that this is only a conserve, yeah, not a live concert. So it's kind of recontextualization of the sound we did. What else we did was, I think it's very tricky, we used instruments and put microphones in there. And by doing this, we got the sounds resonating within the instruments. So we played the music with loudspeakers onto this cello in this instant, in this example, and we picked up the sound from within the instrument. And by doing this, we had the certain frequencies of the cello amplified. So we could use it in the mix very well to place the cello apart from the double basses or the violins. So you will also hear this maybe in this example. It doesn't sound good, but it gives, in the mix, it gives you the opportunity to relocate the instruments very precisely, because we didn't have multi-track recordings of those songs. The museum didn't have. Right, and this kind of working is very immersive for us as sound designers. You know, you really dive into this project, and it's a piece of art. And I think you as the consumer and the visitor of the museum should really feel and like recapitulate what was going on there, instead of like reproducing immersively without putting it into a new context. And on the other hand, there was no budget to make a new record and to have a new album being played in a multi-channel format. Okay, and the result in stereo sounds like this. Very big, very broad, very orchestral. And you could actually walk through that room or lay yourself on the ground, and wherever you went, you would hear another instrument amplified, and you could really like walk through the orchestra and find your instrument or your space. And this kid here is like very close to a transducer. He doesn't hear, so he feels the music, the bass on the floor being activated by transducers. Next project here in Berlin, Humboldt Forum, and the track I was showing at the beginning was from that project. In the Humboldt Forum the big challenge was that there was a lot of art pieces and artifacts that have been derived under unclear circumstances. In Germany, it's called Raubkunst sometimes, because those artifacts were just taken away from people. They were not asked, and so Humboldt Forum had a big problem of exhibiting these artifacts, but on the other hand, trying to give them back to the people they belong to. And these are some very strong examples of these pieces of art that have been or are considered to be given back. And the task was to put up spatial sound for the foyer of the Ethnologisches and the Asiatisches Museum in 4 rooms. and to have some kind of a background sound, but also making the billboard screens sound in a way a foyer should treat visitors coming in there, trying to check, okay, what's going on in here? There we have the Benin statue, and there also over there, there's like a tea drinking place, and how to translate this into sound, and also how can you be sounding in a foyer where people are actually trying to look at things, at artifacts? Do we actually need sound? So it was kind of a artistic perspective we tried to get into there. And the big question for the curators of this installation we did the sound for was, how do these pieces of art sound like? Should they sound at all? And we decided no, they shouldn't sound, because each sound would make an association, and this association would be very difficult to combine with the different pieces of art. And but there was still the wish of the curation that these foyers where the screens are being located should be kind of inspiring, and should be kind of, trying to guide the visitors into the exhibition, but also make it worthwhile and to sit back and relax. This is a floor plan of the speakers being installed. And the first thing we did was trying to find sounds, spatial sounds, masking sounds for a foyer that wouldn't be too distracting, and that would have nothing to do with the exhibits that are being shown. So how to do that? How can you do this musically? And so we started from scratch by just like putting in sound, pouring sound into the space that will mask actually people's noise, and that will also like soothe you and calm you down and make you like, okay, we don't run into the exhibition, but we slow down, focus, what's going on? Oh, do you see the big screen over there? Oh, do you see this piece of art? Do you see this? Okay, let's go over. And in that way, I show you three different compositions that have been or are being played back in the spaces. And they're at a very low volume, which means that you can't actually point on what you hear and where you hear it. You might hear it very loud at the moment, but it is more like a soundscape, like a ground figure. And this is actually sounds that have no association, because you couldn't really point out the instrument or the cultural background or any else detail. It's just in the room, and let's leave it like this, like a ground lighting for a space where you want to read text. That would be my metaphor for it. And another one, a third example of sound. Very deep space, very dreamy in a way, but never trying to explain what's being shown. Just trying to, condition the people. But then, you have, in the four foyers, you have each 6 screens, very big ones, like this, billboards. And on there, you will be shown parts of the exhibition. So what to do with it? And because all those speakers have 2 loudspeakers, we thought, okay, how about a person that is dancing between those speakers, right? I mean, you have those big speakers and those big screens, and you have the situation of those billboards, which are very clearly and very strong. So what to do with it? They're really strong in that space. So how would it be if there was some sound of, some kind of human sound, but not narrative, but in a way constructive, in a way engaged. So what kind of sound is this? And so we figured it's dancing. So we recorded dancing in, on a sound stage of the Münchner Kammerspiele. And you will recognize the sound from the beginning, that's it. And in the space, you see here the 6 speakers. And because when we recorded the dancers, we had 6 stereo microphones in the places where there are the screens. And the dancer was actually dancing around the microphones. And so we translated it in 1-to-1 scale into that space. What happens is you have the soundscape, the soothing sounds, and from each and every screen you have a stereo sound image of the dancer moving around the screens, which is very immersive. Not technically, but narratively. And when you're in the space in front of those screens, you feel that there is something else going on, not the sound from the ceiling and not the pictures on the billboard screens, but there is some more. And this is also a metaphor, or this is supposed to be a metaphor for the artifacts that are being shown in the Humboldt Forum Museum. This is a test we did. We tried to recapitulate or to ensure that the dancer is really being audible, moving through the space. And yeah, the next picture or the next screen is the last one, a small excerpt of the piece in the Humboldt Forum. Thanks for listening. On each side are 3 speakers left, and on the other side 3 speakers right, playing the soundscape. And in each of those screens, stereo speakers that will play out the 2 microphones the dancer was moving around. So yeah, it's a kind of improvisation, technical improvisation, but I think that's the way to go if you want to be immersive. You know, there's no technical war, but it will be a bunch of ideas that will be helping you to get immersive, because sound already is immersive. Again, thanks a lot. Thanks. Thank you.